Jai Hind, friends. So today we will talk about one of the burning issue or burning question. Actually, it is one of the most important concept in the polity as well as in the political arena also. So in the last few years, this concept has been remain in the discussion, and so many uh, misconception of the meaning of this secularism. So we will talk about the secularism here. So what is mean by, we need to understand first of all what is mean by secularism. So secularism, sometimes people's in India especially having the misconception towards the secularism. So let's try to find, so what is mean by secularism, what kind of the models are there in the world, the secularism. So let's start and find the meaning of the secularism here. So let's see what is mean by secularism. Separation of government, first of all, and one of the key concept or key instrument into the concept of the secularism is separation. What is mean by here? Separation of government or government institute or person who are in the service of the government. Separation of such a person or such an institute which run by the government must separate itself, or government must separate itself from the any religion. So it is a plain definition of the secularism here, means separation of the government institute or government person who are in the services or who is in the service of the government. He or she must keep himself or herself away from the religious institute, just not an institute, religious institute not, but religious dignitaries also, or religious person. Means separation of the government institute from the government institute, as well as government person or government officers, government officials also from the religious institute or religious person or dignitaries. So it is meaning, means one of the key concept in the separation here, the separation of government from the religious activities here, the plain definition we can say. So that is not mean in India. Actually India has taken a different kind of the meaning. We will talk about in further discussion. So let's see, so some of next, what is the goal of the what is the goal of the secularism. So why did India has accepted this secularism? So amendment 1976, we have added three words in our preamble. Secularism is one of the words we have added into the 1976. So why, or what is the goal of the secularism of the world? Nowadays most of the government of in world especially having the principle of the secularism. So why is it vital to have the goal, or what is the goal of the secularism here? To ensure the freedom of thought, conscience and religion here. So these are the basic goals or basic objective behind, or basic aim of the secularism. Ensuring the freedom of thought means it's very vital as a human. As a human, we need to have the freedom of our thought. Conscience means whatever we think with our brain, and we should not be forced. We should not be forced or to think about something. So it is very vital, means whatever the thing, conscience means whatever the decisions we take, the decisions takes very empirical means experimental decision must be there. And the religion, so whatever the the freedom of religion also. So whatever kind of the religion someone want to adhere or pursue, he has to have, or she has to have the freedom to have the whatever the choice he has about the religion. Means someone want to be atheist, definitely he has the choice to be atheist. So this kind of the goal is in the secularism. Secularism is a very broader term here, right? We need to understand it is not a sometimes people especially has having the misconception toward the secularism. We try to find, and if there is something in it, you can understand here. So principles, so what are the principles behind the secularism? So why, and every government, actually most of the government in world especially are having the principles or the objective to bring the secularism in the society of their respective government or respective country. The principles here, so what are the first principles? So you can see here the separation of religious institute from the state. So as we know that as India, we have the multi-religious society. We are, means number of this, most number of the religions are existed and just not existed, originated in India and this land of India. So this is why the very plural kind of society we have. So here we need to understand here what is the basic principle of the secularism. So separation of religious institution from the state, means no religious institute can be interfere, or the government cannot interfere into the working or the overall working of the religious institute. So here is one of the main principles: separation of religious institute from the state. Second, freedom of belief for all. So freedom of belief, whether he is or she is atheist or theist, means he is believing something or someone is believing nothing. So both kind of the society must be supported by the government and must be encouraged. Just not government should not actually there is no question of encouragement, but here government has to have the neutrality towards the some everybody here, whether someone is atheist or whether someone is a theist. So it is very vital here, the freedom of belief for all, not about the theist and atheist also. The pluralism is very vital into this. So no discrimination on the grounds of religions. No person should be or must be discriminated on the basis of the religious background he has or she has. So no person in the, means where especially government, especially not just by the government in India, we have we went further in this case, especially some of the articles we bring, article number 17 we have bring into the non-discrimination. So we will talk about in some of the few lectures, but here we need to understand no discrimination on the grounds of religions, mean no person can be discriminated on the basis of the religion into the government services or just not in the services, government employment. So this is very vital principles. So these are the principles: first, separation of religious from the state, then freedom of belief for all, and no discrimination on the grounds of religions. And here we need to understand, so what are the models here? It is very vital. So first model here we talk about the French model. The French model is also called the Lysite kind of the models, where the complete alienation from the religions. The government has to have the complete alienation from towards the any kind of the religion, or government should not be involved into the any activities of the religion or religious activities. So here the French model is there. So then comes American model here, the separation of the church and state. Again, same kind of the principle also having the American model, means the separation of the state, separation of churches and state, means especially America having the religion of Christianity majority there. So church is one of the dominant religious institute in the America, especially you can see, because in the Europe, America has the legacy or background of the Britain, where the in 15th century, especially the King Henry the Eighth announced England, or separated England from the Church of the Rome. So this kind of the experience they had, actually this is a different story about their America and England also. But here we need to understand that there is a separation of church and state here, means due to the past experiences of the actual most of the Americans having the background of the Britain and most of the European countries are having the dominance on the state by the Rome Church or Catholic Church, and it is one of the Indian model, where we can say the Sarva Dharma Samabhav. Indian model is another kind of the model, where the all religions, just here we can say the complete alienation, separation from the separation of the state and religious institute or religious person. But here Sarva Dharma Samabhav, because India is a different land. Actually, no country in the world can be compared with the India as far as its pluralism is pluralism or as well as diversity is concerned. So huge kind of the diversity we have everywhere, means religious diversity, different racial diversity we have, and these then actually government has the responsibility to take care of the all the section of the society, though this is why, and it is very religious country we are, very religious. If you see from the last 5,000 years, India has remained one of the most religious country on this planet. So we cannot go on the walk which walk by these European countries, but we have accepted, or we have accepted different model here. So you can see here the Indian model. So Sarva Dharma Samabhava means equal respect for all religion. So government of India has the means no actually government of India especially gives the respect to every religion equally here. So this is kind of the model we have accepted. We cannot discriminate, or we cannot maintain inequality between the among the religions. So government, especially India, is having the best model, I can say, from the above, because government is about the people and religion is also about the people. So sometimes we fail to understand, but it is one of the best model we accepted after the independence, after the especially in our constitution. So this is all about the first, actually it is the first part we are talking about, the first part of our secularism concept. In the second part we will talk about in the misconception and benefits and demerits of the secularism. So next part, so we will talk about in the next lecture.